The sky over Eleutheria shimmered in soft shades of violet and gold as the twin suns dipped toward the horizon. In the heart of the floating city, atop pillars of crystal that stretched like fingers toward the sky, the palace of Queen Eleuthera gleamed. The city around it hummed with quiet life, bioluminescent forests swaying gently in the evening breeze. For most, it was a sight to take the breath away. For Eleuthera, it was a world sensed through the vibrations in the air. The subtle shifts of light she could feel on her skin, and the echoing footsteps of those near her. She was blind, yet she saw more than many who had eyes. Eleuthera, the queen of Eleutheria, moved gracefully through the halls of her palace, her staff tapping in rhythm with the sound of the floor. Her attendants whispered behind her, careful to keep their distance, respecting her ability to sense their presence without sight. She could feel the pulse of the palace, the small variations of temperature, the soft vibrations of footsteps from miles away across the floating city. This sensitivity made her a remarkable queen, wise and perceptive in ways no ordinary ruler could be. But it also made her cautious. She had learned to trust only those who proved themselves through deeds and not words. Today was unusual. The Council of Eleutheria had insisted that she meet the human delegation personally. Humans were rare visitors to Eleutheria, and many on the council considered them unpredictable. To them, human strength and ingenuity were impressive, but their impulsive nature could be dangerous. Eleuthera, however, had her own way of judging beings. She felt intentions, the truth hidden in vibrations of voice and movement, and she had already sensed something different in the human captain. Captain Jonah Hale stepped into the grand hall with careful steps, though confidence radiated from him. His uniform was neat yet practical, reflecting his life as an explorer and soldier. His eyes were sharp, always moving, taking in details the Eleutherians would miss, yet he moved slowly and respectfully now, as if he understood the presence of the blind queen. Eleuthera's staff tapped the floor once, twice, and then she stopped. She was aware of him before he reached her. She could sense the calm strength in his stance, the measured way he breathed, the subtle rhythm of a heart unafraid. He was not like the others. "Queen Eleuthera," Jonah said, bowing slightly, his voice steady but warm. "It is an honor to meet you." Eleuthera inclined her head. "You're human," she said simply. Her voice carried authority, yet it was calm, almost like a river flowing steadily over stones. "I can sense many things about you. Most visitors hide fear or pride. You do not," she paused. "Why are you here?" Jonah smiled faintly. "I am here to understand your world, to learn, to share what we know, and to protect those who need it if it comes to that." The words themselves were ordinary, but the way he spoke them, with honesty in every vibration, reached Eleuthera. She felt her curiosity stir. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but some carried a strength beyond what the council could measure with charts and reports. Jonah was one of them. The council watched nervously from the sides. They had hoped that Eleuthera would choose a consort for political reasons. Humans were admired for their courage, but few had earned the trust of Eleutherian royalty. The queen, however, was not like most rulers. She relied on senses deeper than sight, on judgment sharper than intellect alone, and tonight she made a choice that would shock the council. "I will take this human as my consort," Eleuthera declared, her voice echoing softly through the hall. The words were simple, but their effect was immediate. Gasps filled the room. Murmurs passed from one council member to another. The council leader, Elder Thaler, stepped forward, his voice strained with disbelief. "Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. He is a human. We cannot know if he can truly understand our ways." Eleuthera's hand moved in a small circle, signaling calm. "I do not choose a consort for tradition alone. I choose one I can trust, and I trust him." She paused, sensing Jonah's reaction. "Do you accept this human?" Jonah's eyes widened briefly, but his smile returned. "I do, Queen Eleuthera. I will serve with honor." He knew that this was more than a marriage. It was a bridge between two worlds, a test of courage and understanding. And he was ready. The preparations for the wedding were swift yet meticulous. Eleutheria's palace had never seen a ceremony like this before. Humans and Eleutherians worked together to ensure the event honored both cultures. Eleuthera moved through the preparations with calm precision, feeling the vibrations of excitement and tension around her. Jonah, meanwhile, learned quickly, observing everything, asking questions, showing respect for her ways. By the time night fell, the city was alive with a quiet hum, a mixture of awe and curiosity. That night, the chambers prepared for the queen and her consort were unlike any other. Soft glowing orbs floated gently, providing warmth and gentle light without being blinding. Textures lined the floor and walls so Elithra could feel her surroundings with ease. Jonah stepped inside carefully, aware that this was uncharted territory for both of them. Elithra sat on a raised platform, feeling the contours of the floor beneath her. She could sense Jonah's presence immediately. He paused a few feet away, waiting. She reached out slowly, her fingers brushing against his hand. The contact was light but firm. She could feel his heartbeat steady and strong, a rhythm different from any Elitherian she had known. "You are different than I expected," Elithra said softly. She was neither mocking nor fearful. She was intrigued, studying the human as one might study a rare flower, delicate and strong at the same time. "Humans are unpredictable. I expected chaos." Jonah chuckled softly, a sound that made the vibrations of the room shift in a comforting way. "I am not perfect, but I am not here to frighten or control. I am here to understand you, to be by your side." Her senses picked up on the sincerity in him, a truth that could not be faked. Elitherians could hide intentions behind elegance and ritual, but humans, at least this human, could not. Elithra felt a spark of curiosity, one that had rarely been awakened in her life. As the evening progressed, Jonah learned to navigate her world. He touched the floating orbs to feel their warmth, listened to the subtle hum of the palace, and allowed Elithra to guide him. They shared small moments of laughter, discovering that humor could cross species boundaries as easily as understanding. Elithra was shocked at how easily he adapted, how quickly he learned to sense her world, and how naturally he respected it. The council had not been able to observe this. They were gathered in their chambers, debating whether humans were trustworthy. But inside the queen's private chambers, a different truth was unfolding. Elithra's trust in Jonah grew with every careful gesture, every shared observation, every moment of understanding. She had chosen him not for power, not for tradition, but because he had surprised her in ways no other being ever had. As the night deepened, Elithra felt a mix of emotions she had never allowed herself to feel so freely. There was curiosity, yes, but also a sense of possibility, of wonder. Humans, she realized, were more than their reputation. They were brave, adaptable, and capable of empathy that rivaled the greatest minds of Elithria. Jonah sensed the shift in her mood. "Queen Elithra," he said gently, "I do not know everything about your world, but I promise I will learn. Not just to serve, but to understand." Elithra smiled, a small but genuine expression that lit the subtle vibrations of her presence. "I am surprised," she admitted. "I expected fear or pride or greed, but you are something else." Jonah simply nodded.
"I am human."
And humans sometimes surprise even themselves. For the first time, Elithra felt the warmth of true curiosity, not just for knowledge, but for the being standing beside her. She did not know what the future held, but for the first night of her reign as queen with a human consort, she felt a spark of excitement, tempered with cautious hope. The night was long, and Elitheria's stars shone bright above them, witnessing the start of something entirely new, something that could bridge worlds, challenge expectations, and perhaps change both their civilizations forever. As the twin suns' afterglow faded into darkness, Elithra and Jonah remained together in the quiet chamber, discovering that trust, understanding, and courage could light a path even a blind queen could see clearly. And somewhere deep inside, Elithra felt the first real shock of wonder, the realization that she might have chosen not just a consort, but an ally who could teach her more about the universe than she had ever imagined. The twin suns of Elithria were dipping behind the floating mountains, painting the skies in shades of violet and gold. From the heights of the palace, the city below glimmered with soft bioluminescent lights. Crystalline towers reflected the fading sun, and the gentle hum of the city carried through the air like a quiet song. The palace itself, a masterpiece of Elitherian architecture, hovered on pillars that seemed to pierce the clouds. It was magnificent, yet Queen Elithra experienced it differently than others. She could not see the colors, the towers, or the light, but she could sense it all: vibrations in the air, the warmth of the suns on her skin, the subtle shifts of energy as citizens moved about. Elithra had been born blind. From the beginning, the Council of Elithria had worried that their future queen would be limited, that she could not handle the responsibilities of ruling a complex civilization. But they were wrong. Alithra's other senses were extraordinary. She could hear the faintest heartbeat across a room, feel the tremor of the floor when someone walked near, and detect emotions in ways others could not imagine. Her blindness did not hinder her. It sharpened her awareness, and her intuition became legendary among her people. Tonight, Alithra moved carefully through the halls of her palace. Her staff tapped lightly on the polished floors, creating a rhythm she used to navigate the vast space. Her attendants moved quietly behind her, keeping just enough distance to avoid disturbing the vibration she relied upon. The queen's thoughts were focused, as they always were, but tonight there was a tension in the air. The human delegation had arrived, and the council insisted that she meet the human captain. Humans were rare visitors to Eleutheria. Known for their unpredictable nature, they were admired for their courage and adaptability, but they were often feared by Eleutherian society. The council wanted a human ally, but they also wanted a consort who could strengthen political ties. Alithra, however, did not make decisions based on politics alone. She trusted her instincts, and she trusted what she could sense about a being's character. Captain Jonah Hale entered the Grand Hall. His uniform was simple but precise, reflecting his life as an explorer and soldier. His movements were confident but careful, and his presence carried a quiet authority. Alithra sensed him immediately. She did not need to see him. She felt the rhythm of his heartbeat, the way his muscles moved under his clothing, the subtle vibrations of confidence and calm in every step. "Queen Alithra," Jonah said, bowing respectfully. His voice was steady, warm, and deliberate. "It is an honor to meet you." Alithra inclined her head slightly. "You are human," she said, her tone both curious and measured. "I can sense much about you. You are neither fearful nor proud. Most visitors carry one or the other. Why are you here?" Jonah smiled faintly. "I am here to understand your world, to learn from it, and to share what we know, and if needed, to protect it." The vibrations of honesty in his voice reached Alithra. She felt curiosity stir within her. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but some were remarkable. Jonah was one of them. The council watched from the sidelines, their murmurs a mix of concern and disbelief. They expected Alithra to choose a consort for political gain, for strategy, but she had her own way of judging worth. She relied on instincts honed over years, senses that no human or Eleutherian could fully understand. "I will take this human as my consort," Alithra announced, her voice calm, yet firm. The hall fell silent. Gasps and whispers rippled through the council. Elder Thalor, the head of the council, stepped forward, his voice strained. "Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. He is human. How can we trust him? He may not understand our ways, our customs, our rules." Alithra's hand moved gently, signaling for calm. "I do not choose a consort for tradition or politics alone. I choose one I can trust, and I trust him." She paused, sensing Jonah's reaction. "Do you accept this human?" Jonah's eyes widened for a brief moment, then he nodded firmly. "I do, Queen Alithra. I will serve with honor and loyalty." Preparations for the ceremony began immediately. Eleutheria's floating palace had never hosted a wedding like this. Humans and Eleutherians worked together to respect both cultures. Alithra, though blind, navigated the preparations with calm precision, feeling every detail, the subtle shifts in floor texture, the vibrations of the floating orbs, the energy of those around her. Jonah, ever observant, learned quickly. He moved carefully, asking questions, showing respect, learning to sense her world. The night of the ceremony arrived. Soft, glowing orbs floated in the private chambers, providing light and warmth without overwhelming her senses. Textured patterns on the floor and walls allowed Alithra to move freely, and the subtle scent of Eleutherian blossoms filled the air. Jonah stepped inside, careful to move in ways that would not startle her. Alithra sat on her platform, feeling the contours of the room beneath her. She could sense Jonah immediately. He paused a few feet away, waiting patiently. She reached out slowly, brushing her fingers against his hand. The contact was light but firm. She could feel the steady beat of his heart, strong and calm, different from any Eleutherian she had known. "You are different than I expected," Alithra said softly. She was neither mocking nor fearful, only curious. "Humans are unpredictable. I expected chaos." Jonah chuckled quietly, the sound resonating gently in the room. "I am not perfect, but I am not here to frighten or control. I am here to understand you, to be by your side." Her senses detected sincerity in him, a truth that could not be faked. Eleutherians were skilled at hiding motives behind rituals and elegance, but Jonah's honesty was raw and undeniable. Alethra felt a spark of curiosity she had rarely felt before. As the evening went on, Jonah learned to navigate her world. He touched the floating orbs, listened to the soft hums of the palace, and allowed Alethra to guide him. They laughed softly at their mistakes, discovering that humor could cross species boundaries. Alethra was surprised at how quickly he adapted, how naturally he respected her world. She felt a strange mixture of shock and admiration. Meanwhile, the council debated in secret. They worried about human influence, about traditions being broken, about unknown dangers. But inside the chamber, a different truth was unfolding. Alethra's trust in Jonah grew with every gesture, every word, every careful observation. She had chosen him not for power, not for politics, but because he had surprised her in ways no one else had. Time passed in quiet discovery. Alethra felt emotions she had not allowed herself to feel in years. Curiosity, excitement, and even a flicker of hope. Humans were more than what the council believed. They were brave, adaptable, capable of empathy. Jonah, sensing her change in mood, spoke gently. "Queen Alethra, I do not know everything about your world, but I promise I will learn. Not just to serve, but to understand." Alethra smiled, a small, genuine expression. "I am surprised," she admitted. "I expected fear or pride or greed, but you are something else." Jonah nodded simply. "I am human, and humans sometimes surprise even themselves." For the first time, Alethra felt the warmth of curiosity and excitement, not just for knowledge, but for the being standing beside her. She did not know what the future held, but for this night, she allowed herself to feel hope. The twin sun's afterglow faded into darkness, and Eleutheria's stars shimmered above. Alethra sensed the beginning of something entirely new, something that could bridge worlds, challenge expectations, and perhaps change her civilization forever. The night was long, yet calm. Alethra and Jonah remained in the quiet chamber, learning each other's rhythms, sharing trust and laughter, discovering that courage, understanding, and empathy could light a path even a blind queen could follow. Deep inside, Alethra felt the first real shock of wonder, the realization that she might have chosen not just a consort, but an ally, someone who could teach her more about the universe than she had ever imagined. And as the city of Eleutheria slept beneath them, Alethra closed her eyes, smiling softly. For the first time in her life, she was not afraid of what she could not see. She was ready to explore what she could feel, and for the first night, the human she had married had shocked her, not with strength or power, but with understanding, courage, and a heart brave enough to match hers.